Welcome to 100 Yards Football this morning. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. It's a special video as I highlight Jack Tatum out of the Ohio State Buckeyes. So if you like the video, please come in and share it. And I'm your host this morning to tell you all about Jack Tatum. I'm Vincent Turner. Well, when you think about Jack Tatum, you're thinking about a very explosive football player. The first time I saw Jack Tatum play and had knowledge of him had to be back in 1968 on that great Ohio State team that's going to go down as one of the greatest football teams that won the national championship as super sophomores, but they should have won 3 championships. And Jack Tatum played on that team with Rex Kerner, Jim Steelwagon, John Brockington, Jan White, Leon Hayden, and they played under a great coach in Woody Hayes. But when I think about Jack Tatum coming up, and I was 8 years old at the time, that's right, 8 years old. I remember Ohio State playing Purdue that year. It's in October. Purdue ranked number 1 in the country. They got this 5-star quarterback named Mike Phillips. They got this running back who everybody's saying is going to win the Heisman Trophy. His name was Leroy Keys. He went to heaven a couple of months ago. But he was a great football player. But he was a guy that not only could run the football, but he could catch the ball out of the backfield. And that young man out of New Jersey, Jack Tatum, shot at him all day and shut him down, and Ohio State won that football game 13-0. And Jack Tatum made UPI Defensive Player of the Week that week as a sophomore. That's when I heard about Jack Tatum. And then I'm going to go on up to 1969 in Rose Bowl, January the 1st. Number 1 USC. They got the young man out of Galileo High School, San Francisco's finest. And we all know him, O.J. Simpson. O.J. in that game had an 80-yard touchdown run. USC up 10-0. Then in the second quarter, can't remember the play, but I think it was a pitch sweep to O.J. Simpson. He came through the 2-hole, and man, it looked like a guy just shot out of the torpedo and laid that wood on him. And you can hear Kurt Gowdy, who was announcing the game at that time, with Cal Rote Jr., Senior, excuse me. And you could tell in their voice, they saying, "Oh my God, that hurt." OJ got right back up. And that's when I know Jack Tatum was on a different planet as a football player. He was, to me, the most feared football player that's ever came through college football and maybe through the pro ranks outside Dick Butkus that played at Illinois and went on with a great career with the Chicago Bears. Skill level about Jack Tatum, tackling off the charts, A+. The confidence, A+. The explosion, A+. And he was violent. He was like a torpedo, hitting you. And when he was in college, there was people around in the Big Ten that knew he was coming. And he made it known as a sophomore on a team that went 12-0, won the national championship, that he was going to be a special player at Ohio State. And the thing about Jack Tatum, when you look at him, you look at overall his career and all the hits he had, both on the college and pro level, he came to Ohio State as an all-state running back. And the defensive coordinator at the time, Lou Holtz, that's right, the great Lou Holtz, begged Woody Hayes, man, let's move this man to the off defensive side of the ball, and we got something special. That's why Jack Tatum had all these nicknames: Headhunter, the Assassin. And we know what that means. That means at any given time, killer at a high level. And before Mr. Tatum stepped on the pro level, that's what he was at Ohio State. That team he played on, they went 27-2 in his career. He was a 2-time All-American, unanimous, 1969 and 1970. And like I said, in my opinion, he was the most feared, most devastating, most killer safety that's ever came through college football and maybe pro football. I know that he went on to his pro career. We all know about the incident with Darryl Stingley. That happened in the game. And we know how Jack Tatum's career ended. He didn't get a lot of love on the pro level. A lot of people still said he was a dirty player. But man, the hits that he had and the way he brought intimidation to the game, he was dominant. He was like a guy when he played on that level starting at Ohio State. You know how you play 11 on 11 football, you playing to pick up the game, and you out there, and a guy from the other opposite side of the field, you playing against, he makes this hit on one guy, and I've seen it many times playing pickup football. And all while you playing in that hour, 2 hour time period, you saying, where's this guy at? In your heart and in your mind, you scared. Because you know that guy, if he gets a lick on you, then it might be lights out. Bye-bye, baby. That's what Jack Tatum brought. But his skill level at Ohio State and what he took to the National Football League and how he represented Ohio State was an A+. Because when you think about Ohio State football, especially during that time when Mr. Tatum played at Ohio State, and I was 8 years old at the time, all you thought about Ohio State football was tough. It was hard work. It was a situation in Ohio State, you had to come with the wood. And you had to come up prepared because you was going to be in for a hell of a time for 60 minutes. And that was what Jack Tatum was about. And then I'm going to go about, before he stepped on the field, think about all the other great players that really was like Jack Tatum at the safety position. You had George Webster that had an outstanding career at Michigan State. You had Dick Anderson, who went on with a great career with the Miami Dolphins, played at Colorado. You had Johnny Rowland, one of the best safeties ever in Missouri. And you had at the time, you had Brian Van Pelt, who came a little bit after Jack Tatum. All of them was in the mold of Jack Tatum. But there was one thing that separated Jack Tatum on the college level. Dominant player. I'm going to say it one more time. The assassin. A lethal weapon in football pads. A violent player. An ultimate warrior. Warriors come out to play. But Jack Tatum came out to play and pump fear into you. And when you think about all the great safeties that played in this game on the college and pro level, he wasn't like an Ed Reed. He wasn't athletic like a Sean Taylor or Kenny Easley. But man, let me tell you something. He could hit better than any of them. And the playing at Ohio State, back in the 60s, everybody, when you thought about Ohio State football, you thought about Jack Tatum. And he carried that tradition over to the National Football League. And the thing that I'm going to go away with as I break this video down about this great football player that played at Ohio State, in my mind, at 61 years old, it's always the hits that he had. O.J. Simpson in the Rose Bowl. Sammy White in the Super Bowl, the helmet coming off. Earl Campbell at the goal line. I'm not going to bring up the other hit of the young man that passed away that played at Purdue. And then they hit on Walter Payton. A lot of people say Jack Tatum couldn't play in this time, and that's true. He probably wouldn't have lasted maybe 2 years. But you know what? If he was able to play in this game for one season, the Jerry Rices of the world, the Kelvin Johnsons of the world, the DeAndre Hopkins of the world, the Odell Beckham Jr.'s of the world, they would have come to the assassin was back there in the secondary. The torpedo of college football. So my final words about Jack Tatum Every time I think about him, and every time he comes to my memory, it's a song by a young man that came out of 615 Nashville, Tennessee in the late 60s. And he had a song that went 25 miles to go. I'm 25 miles from home. Girl, my feet are hurting. And it's mighty bad now. Walking, dum dum dum, dum dum dum. Walk on, dum dum dum, dum dum dum. Uh 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 uh. I'm telling you, 25 miles. The great Edwin Starr. See, if Jack Tatum would have been playing on this level, Jerry Rice, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr., C.D. Lamb, Amari Cooper, all y'all would have been walking 25 miles away from the field. If you like the video today, please come and share it. I'm Vincent Turner here at 100 Yards of Football. I'd like to give kudos to my producer out of Douglasville, Georgia, Mr. Logan Landers, excuse me. The final words about Jack Tatum, the hardest hitting safety in college football that ever came through the ranks. Out of the Ohio State Buckeyes. God bless. It's been an honor to honor this young man here today at one of the finest universities in the country. And they had one of the, I consider, one of the best coaches ever done it in Woody Hayes. The great Jack Tatum. One more time, you like the video today, please come in and share it. I've been your host, Vincent Turner. God bless. Ohio State, the assassin, Jack Tatum.